Hi, my name is Boet, and today I'm going to explain to you how I do the voice of Morgan Freeman. So, the voice of Morgan Freeman consists of two parts. It's got a high-pitched part and a low-pitched part. For example, if he were to do the monologue of the Shawshank Redemption with only his high-pitched voice, it would not make much of an impression. This is how it would sound. Rehabilitated? Well, now let me see. You see, I don't really have any idea what that means. It doesn't sound epic to me. It doesn't have that character, that je ne sais quoi that everyone loves about Morgan Freeman. Well, that je ne sais quoi is actually the other end of his voice. It's the low end part. The high end part is probably very easy to emulate by lots of people. Because if you just train your voice just a little bit, it's easy to make it sound like this. Anyone can do that. Well, most people can do that. To mix that with the low end, you first of all must have a low voice. If you don't have a low voice, there's a trick. That is by approaching the microphone to an extent that the microphone picks up also the very weak low sounds, the very weak bass sounds of your voice. And that's how you get this really low sound. If you want to do a really compelling impression of Morgan Freeman, however, you shouldn't sound like you're glued to the microphone. You should be able to get that low end sound by yourself. And me, I'm 6'8", so I'm really tall. I have long vocal cords also. And the resonance, the frequency of your voice is, in the most part, decided by the length of your vocal cords. The longer these vocal cords are, the lower the frequency is. I can show you now when I do the low end of the voice of Morgan Freeman in the microphone, but not crawling into it, it would sound like this. Rehabilitated? Well, now let me see. You see, I don't really have any idea what that means. What I can do now is mix the two together, and then it would sound like this. Rehabilitated? Well, now let me see. You see, I don't really have any idea what that means. To me, it's just a made-up word. Morgan Freeman. And one final tip, when I do Morgan Freeman, I basically try to look exactly like he looks. I sort of mimic his facial traits. What he does is he basically freezes the top end of his face, and the lips are moving, but barely. And he's just glancing in that camera, and his face doesn't move at all. So if I would do rehabilitated, well, now let me see. If I do a lot of head nodding, then it's not going to be as compelling as when I just freeze exactly the way he does. And look into the microphone like this with your eyes wide open, completely emotionless, and then slowly let that voice come down. And maybe I could crawl just a little bit into the microphone so as to sound more like Morgan Freeman. But what you see is, I'm basically freezing my face. The only thing moving is my lips. There you have it. Morgan Freeman, done by a Dutchman. What do you know? Thanks for watching. And if you want to see me do another voice, for example, the epic British voice of Michael Caine, who uses a similar technique as Morgan Freeman, but in a totally different way, you'll have to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because Michael Caine is next on the list. Okay, goodbye.